30 days. Still 30 days, the habit.
Yeah.
And we're live. We're live.
We're live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to myself, to Morning Minutes. And Mark Novak joins me for today. I think we're going to do a little bit of a recap of August, as I've been out of action for a month. So what better way to get recapped on Morning Minutes with Mark? Good to see you.
How are you, bud? Mate, welcome back. You had bit of spinal surgery.
Yeah, so for anyone listening and cares, which that will be everyone, I had double fusion surgery through my neck. So I was out of action. It's my fourth surgery on my spine, neck, broke it playing rugby. So it's been pretty shit for the last 7 years, but hopefully this is it and get back to some sort of normality and less pain basically daily. So yeah.
Wow. Mate, good. It's good that it all went well though. Like that's you're in the hands of the gods there.
Yes. So everything went well. Now it's just time. So, and that sort of sucks when it's a little bit out of your hands. You just got to go with the time and see how things unfold. So yeah, Mark, August, residential first, and just for anyone watching, where I sort of left off in August was really when Melbourne was getting hit hard with the second wave. I felt in the Sydney market, even though we didn't have the cases like Melbourne did, I felt a bit of stigma and attitude in the buying and selling community going, hang on, like we just started to get all the confidence back. Now it's sort of gone because of Melbourne, and it hadn't affected many deals yet, but the sense was there. Did that ever unfold? How was August, maybe from Novak's perspective as a whole, and then I know you're speaking with a lot of agents you had on the show, so and out of Sydney's.
Yeah, look, it has been unusual because and now Melbourne's going into lockdown for another 2 weeks. They got the announcement last night. It's been, I think, as Sydney property market. Look, there's definitely a necessity there that has to be filled, and that's a fact. And when COVID hit, we didn't know if there was a necessity, if property fell into that necessity or that essential part of people's world. And I think the great news is that it has. For rentals, for sales, property has proved absolutely essential and not something Australians are willing to pause, or not something Australians are willing to forget about, for a year or two, or put lower on the priority list. So, the good news was that in that month, I think, property has kept trading. It's been very consistent. Now, the buggers in Melbourne, unfortunately, even though that necessity is there for tenants and landlords and buyers and sellers, it was literally the blood was forced to stop flowing by the surgeon being the government. So it's had a massive pause effect over there. And we were just thinking, shit, is that pause effect going to happen here? Bottom line, it did not happen here because it's proven to be essential. So unless the government turned around and said to us, you cannot transact, you cannot show property, you cannot do anything like that physically, then it just kept going. So it's pretty interesting in reflection, but yeah.
And what restrictions? So there's no with the incentives. So JobKeeper, JobSeeker, rentals is what sort of happening? Can you terminate tenants? Can you increase rent? Did anything big change in August?
Not really. Look, there was all these announcements. That we couldn't put rents up at the beginning of COVID, that we couldn't ask tenants to leave properties at the beginning of COVID. The mandate went all the way up till 1st of September, in some circumstances on the 28th or 27th of September. It's been very interesting that the government hasn't really come out and said, look, we're extending that. They did with JobKeeper, JobSeeker. They made extensions and they reduced the incentives a little bit, but certainly the government has put prospective tenants that are late on rent out on a cliff a little bit now.
Yep.
And they haven't said, guys, reduced payments or anything, or halved it or anything. So pretty much now for residential tenants, it's time to pull your socks up and pay your rent. You're coming to that point where you will be able to get evicted, and you don't have that protection of COVID anymore.
Yep.
Interesting move.
Perfect. And so what do you reckon for the next sort of couple of weeks leading in? What's the focus of a lot of clients? So everyone's still got the confidence to move. The rental market, how did we go at Novak? Because we're a good barometer of where the Northern Beaches market is, because we're normally doing a lion's share of lettings. Where did August end, and is that just as active for the beginning of September in rents being done? And just before August, we were sort of saying due to COVID, rents were down about 5-10%. Did that get smaller or same or greater in August?
I'd say they're up 5%.
Okay. So some back to normal, down 5.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it sort of got to that stage where in the worst part of COVID, we were discounting rents maybe as much as 15% from just before COVID started. And I'd say now, probably each 2 months, we recovered at 5% up, 5% up. So I'd say we're almost back to normal with where the rental amounts are sitting. Now, I think that what we've also noticed is that we're a little bit blessed because people are after a sea change or a tree change, and Northern Beaches fits into that sea change. So, for rentals and for sales, I think we've benefited. Believe it or not, Michael, we've lost a lot of people out of the Northern Beaches. They've moved for a further tree change or a further sea change. So they've decided to go a little bit more out of Sydney, which has been a bit of a bummer. But the good news is those people have come in to the Northern Beaches with the same motivation. So there's this, we're getting families that are going, you know what, I don't need to go in the city anymore. Screw this. I'm going to go buy a place in Terrigal, get rid of my mortgage, sell out of the Northern Beaches. But then we're getting the people out of Mossman, North Shore, moving into the Northern Beaches, saying, screw this. I don't need to be this close to the city. I want to go to the Northern Beaches. So there's been activity, and it's firmed up our property market on the Northern Beaches of Sydney.
And what do you think a lot of agents and people's focus will be going in? Because we're almost in the last quarter of the year. Like, wow, it's September. It's almost been a nothing year. But it hasn't been a nothing year, because there has been a lot of people who have pivoted and had a great year, as much as there's people who haven't. So what do you think? What's your focus for the next sort of end of year, closing it out? Because realistically, you've got to put your steps in motion now, because November, December come around so quick. And if you think of something there, it's a little bit to the end. So a lot of people's end of year strategies coming in now for homeowners and agents.
Yeah, look, it's really interesting because I just want to say g'day to Luke.
Yes.
G'day to Lisa.
How are you? I'm back.
Michelle, how are you? Is back. But fire starter. But what was the question again?
End of year. So this is basically now is what you got to set in motion your plans.
Yeah. So everyone, we've got 9 weeks of putting your property on the market. If you do a deal over the next 9 weeks, you'll have 6 weeks, which will take you till about the 12th, 20th of December. That's when lawyers like to be closing off shop. Doesn't mean real estate agents doesn't mean you can't settle, doesn't mean you can't sell or buy in between on that 4 weeks over Christmas. But this is the time to get serious now. So I know there's all these really gay marketing around spring has sprung.
Yeah.
It shits me when I see a flower or a spring and someone refer to that. But I'll tell you what it means to people. What it means to people is if you want to get a deal done in 2020, the clock's ticking and you've pretty much got 3 blinks of your eyes over 3 months, maybe 2 months, and the year is over for property transaction on scale, on bulk. And again, you can still do a deal over December without lawyers or lawyers businesses being open. But yeah, definitely, mate. It's. I reckon people are going to get shit done. I reckon it. Don't forget, everyone. People are like bears. They hibernate through winter, and when winter is over, they come out of hibernation. Honestly, literally, it works like that. It's more high volume. I don't think prices will go up dramatically with sales or rentals, but the activity of people moving around right now is going to happen because people are like bears coming out of hibernation.
Yeah, and that would be good to track. I'll have a look on market share listing numbers. Let me have a quick look. Market, where did we see residential? Because everyone's always got the perception spring's the best time.
Yeah.
So residential listings are up a fair bit, 743. So that's where getting stuff ready now. And I don't think we've done a great podcast on renovations for little things to do prior to sell. And I think now's a great time where it isn't too late. I think there's a period between like end of December to almost Christmas Day where you can get a great, I don't think people should say, I've missed being ready for spring. I'll wait till next year, because there are some great deals done December 12th to December 24th. Because buyers this spring and they're like, I want to buy before the end of the year. Just get me a property that ticks half the boxes. So people need to be ready for that. And I know we'll do many talks up until those dates as well. But just looking at some raw numbers, listings of residential properties for sale are 743.
Yep.
And we were, just before July, we were 696. So up 10%. So that's great for buyers out there. There's a lot. And what was it pre-COVID? 26th of March,
actually,
765. Yeah.
I've just sent something to the wall. Can you bring that up? And this is, so I just want to show you guys this. It's very interesting. 10 years of property. So if I use we've got a suburb on the Northern Beaches that has 10,000 properties, all very similar properties. So I like to use that as a mean for Sydney. Or an average for Sydney. If you have a look at this, guys, this is what listings are for.
Loading. Give me make sure.
Can you hide those tiles, bud?
Yeah.
Where it says, yeah, great, thanks. So, guys, just have a look at what we brought up for you here. This information, fantastic information. Yep. Yeah, I can see it. Yep. So, if you look at this is stock coming to the market for the suburb of Dee Why, which has 10,000 units as an example. New listings coming to the market in 2011 got as much as 700 new properties came on for sale in the market. Now, if you have a look here, it's at an all-time low. The amount of stock is almost half. Historically, this is one of the lowest periods of stock on the market. And you can see COVID was an absolute outright low because no one knew what the hell was happening. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's good. That was smooth by us, if I have to say so myself.
Yeah, and we did it on the fly as well, like that as well. I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared at all.
All right.
What else about... Let's talk. What else about April did you have questions over from the hospital bed?
Yeah, Luke made a good point. I'll tee this up. Need to interview a moving company. I think that is a very good idea. See what their business was like.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
I know. Yeah, let's do that. I think how was commercial, just in general?
Rented assets. Assets that will have a holding income, have a yield, have a tenant in place, no problemos. If you have a commercial property that you're trying to sell that has no tenant, you will be absolutely punished. Banks have a lot to play in this. Banks, if you are going to a bank and saying, I have a commercial property with no tenant in it, they will spank you. They will spank you like a small, naughty school kid child,
isn't it? And I know that you were sort of on the front lines of August with some of the listings we've got with no tenants, and it's tough, eh? I know I always
Spank.
say it, and it's like I wasn't making excuses, but it was
You-
like no tenant.
You called it early. You called it early.
It was
But
like
serious spanking.
months ago.
Serious spanking. Yeah.
And we're talking about owners need to do a 50% price reduction and still tough. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so tenants.
Rentals, commercial.
Yes.
You know what? A lot of people moving around, they're using the excuse to get things right. So not really business is bad or business is good. It's more like an opportunity to get things right in our commercial business. We never like this premises, we're going to move to something a little bit bigger. We never like this premises, we're going to put two of our businesses together into a new premises. They're just using this opportunity to get shit done. And it's like, I can't afford the excuse of I'll do it later. I need to do it now. So people are really improving their businesses by changing their commercial retail property.
And we were coming off like our biggest month just prior with lease deals. Was August more just tidying those up, or did we get another sort of surge?
More deals.
Off?
More deals, just as strong.
Okay, that's good. And I think it was just owners. What really triggered deals being done in the last 3 months compared to the last year was leasings. Owners were willing to do the deals because I know every deal we had done, and a lot of them had been on the market for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, some over. It wasn't the tenants coming to fruition, it was the owners meeting. So some of the properties we had always had offers at that level, but owners just weren't ready. And then the fear of COVID, they're like, we'll take any deal. So to sort of say COVID, I wouldn't, someone say, did COVID drop the commercial rents? Like some of the deals we're doing at 5, 10, 15, 50% lower. But to be honest, that was last year. The owner just didn't accept it. So obviously the value of it or the deal price is triggered when the deal's done. So it looks
That's a really good point.
Looks like COVID dropped 50% in rents, but really the economy dropped 50% in rents, but the owners weren't coming to reality until COVID. Yeah. So COVID takes the rap for it, and sometimes
watch those crazy hands. You're going to kill someone with those hands, dude.
I'm back. Luke says dream is back.
You know what? I never looked at it that way, but I think it's been 5 years coming, Burge. I think the last 5 to 7 years, when people have said times have changed, Amazon is here, blah, 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 but retail is different, online is different, blah, 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 blah. I think it's all sobered up and caught up now. And now that was the pill that the owners needed to sober them up.
Yeah, and everyone looked forward. So that's it, Marky. That's just over 15 minutes. So
welcome back. Hey, you're looking a bit skinny. That collar's looking a bit loose, bud.
Nah, it's a new shirt I put on weight. It's bad. Thank you, though. Thank you. It's a new bigger shirt. I feel bad.
Did you fatten up or skinny up?
Ever since now, I put like 10 kilos on. It's bad.
Fuck it. That's fucking weight.
Yeah.
Summer's here, so I've got to do something about it as well. My lovely wife's perfect, but I'm not. And I've got to skinny up a little bit. So I'm happy to go on a diet with you. Announce our weight every day on live Facebook, just to put the pressure on.
Anyway,
everyone, love you. See you. Dream team back, says Luke Moroney. And Luke, a special message out to Luke Moroney. Like, this is a guy that is an absolute pro on digital media, social media, instant media. If you guys need a buyer's agent, shout out to this guy. He's super clever, super wired up, knows what's happening in the market.
Well. Great content, great perspectives on property and the investment strategies throughout. So have a look and check it out.
Even though we don't like what he pushes Queensland.
I was like, even though we have very different views of the type of property, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
You can have different views, but at the end of the day, the ethos is property is a great wealth creation. Let's get into it. And regardless of each way you go, if you do it consistently and tick the boxes. You're going to 20, 30, 50 years later, you will be better off than someone who didn't do it. Obviously, you'd be even better off if you do it our way by Northern Beaches. But
well, Luke's peddling Queensland, and we're peddling New South Wales. So it doesn't mean there's a big population in Queensland and there's a big population in New South Wales. They offer different things to different people. What I do like is, for some reason, that New South Wales keeps growing and Queensland keeps growing. And that's good enough for me. Thanks for your support, Luke.
And the end of the day, what Luke supports is doing the investigations and doing the research where you're going to buy. So if you've made your mind up and you want to buy Queensland, I find a lot of friends who I've heard have done it are closing their eyes and on a map just going, that suburb I'm buying. So the main thing is investigate, ask the basic questions, and there's always good suburbs within an area and little micro markets. Obviously, we've done a big one on micro markets like DY East and West Pittwater Road can be very different. And if you're coming from the outside, you may not know that. So you do miss those boats. But whichever aspect you do, just sort of do your homework. But don't do it for too long, because what's the biggest people regret not buying more than they regret buying the property. So
that's it, mate. Good to have you back. Welcome back, Virgin, and very happy that you survived, are alive like that. Getting surgery like that on your spine, through your throat, very, very scary stuff. And congrats, buddy. You've done exceptionally well. You're a very, guys and girls, you are one of the strongest people I know. Incredible, very, very, very resilient bloke.
Cheers. Speak soon. Bye.
See ya. See everyone.